Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another video. This one is again from Tasting History. What did World War II soldiers eat? And it's apparently called Shit on a Shingle. The next one I wanted to watch from him was either going to be this one or the Sugar Plum ones, and I was really fighting it on myself or arguing with myself which one to go. But Shit on a Shingle kind of won out. But looking at the thumbnail for what he's supposed to be making, it did not look appetizing. I'm going to be honest with you. Let's see if he can change my mind. All right, good
Few
sir.
things improve troop morale better than a hot meal, even if the name of that hot meal kind of sucks. Like this favorite frontline breakfast from World War II, creamed dried beef on toast, better known as shit on a shingle.
I mean, they got the name right, and that sure does look like shit. And I don't mean like his cooking. I mean just in no matter who cooks it, it's just literally looks like shit. It looks like it's literally been through somebody already. Not as much as the thumbnail for that What Did Peasants Eat one. That one just looked like literal shit. But this does not look appetizing to me at all.
So thank you to my Patreon patrons for constantly supporting this channel, especially on videos like this that'll probably get demonetized because I keep saying shit on a shingle. This time on Tasting History.
I mean, he's bleeping himself, so it should be fine, right?
So I am releasing this video on Veterans Day, or Armistice Day, or Remembrance Day, depending on where you are. And every Veterans Day, I remember my grandpa, Gramps, who used to tell me stories about...
Honestly, if he shaved, I'm sure he looks exactly like his grandfather.
When he was in World War II. He was part of the medical corps, and he would tell me these stories about when he was over in England and France and even in Germany just after the end of the war.
Wait.
Over in World War II. He was part of the medical corps.
Yeah, no.
And he would tell me these stories about...
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
When he was over in England and France and even in Germany just after the end of the war. And I credit those stories with giving me my love for history, because here I am, a 7-year-old playing with his micro machines, and this old guy is telling me about stuff that happened to a 7-year-old so long ago. But the way that he told the stories was so engaging and made it so personal that I was entranced, and I just loved him. I couldn't get enough. And so I guess you can kind of say that the reason that Tasting History is a thing is because of those stories that my veteran Gramps used to tell me. And so I figure, what better way to honor my grandpa here on this Veterans Day than to make a dish that he might have eaten when he was in the military, even if he very purposefully left it out of the stories he was telling his 7-year-old grandson. Because there was no way my grandpa would ever say the phrase on a shingle. Or as the recipe from the U.S. War Department in 1944 called it, creamed dried beef, which for 6 gallons called for 7 pounds of dried beef, a pound of fat melted, flour, evaporated milk, water, and pepper. Separate beef into small pieces, mix melted fat and flour.
Melted fat? Like, is it talking about lard? Or is butter okay?
Stir until smooth. Mix milk and water, heat. Add gradually to flour mixture, stirring constantly. Add chipped beef and pepper. Heat to boiling point, reduce heat, and simmer about 10 minutes. Note, serve hot over toast. Now obviously, since this makes 6 gallons or 100 servings, I'm going to make a reduced quantity today. But I do think it's really interesting how they give the quantities in the original recipe. Besides pounds and gallons, they also measure in number 56 dippers. Like 1 pound of fat would be a half number 56 dipper, because you wouldn't often have a scale on hand when you were out in the field, but you would probably have the standard quart-sized number 56 dipper. And the writing on the dipper was so standard that you could use it to make measurements as well. Another book specifies 1 cup of liquid comes to the top of the date figure, 2 cups to the top of the manufacturer's letter, and 3 cups of liquid will come to the top of the US letters. I, of course, have no dipper, and I'm not making 6 gallons worth. So for a smaller portion, what you'll need is just over half a pound or 250 grams of chipped beef. So
did that just come in a jar? A plastic jar? What? Okay.
This is chipped beef or dried beef, and they come
Dried
out in
beef.
these little jars. You'll need 4
Huh.
for this recipe.
Does it need to be refrigerated?
And it's basically ground, very salted beef that is then pressed into a form, dried, and then sliced very thinly. And when you open it, kind of reminds me of the smell of a can of dog food when you open it. But
Oh, that's wonderful.
that smell goes away, kind of.
Kind of, okay.
But it's all wrapped up like this, and they kind of remind me of Pringles.
It's like a meaty fruit roll-up.
Yeah. So this is what you need for this recipe.
Huh.
Then 2 tablespoons or 30 grams of fat.
I don't think that's sold in my fries.
This recipe is not specific in what kind of fat, but in the cook's manual from 1910, which may be the earliest recipe
Is it
for
lard?
this dish, it says butter is preferred, so that's what I'm using.
Okay, thank God.
A
Butter.
heaping third
Everybody
cup or
likes
40
butter.
grams of flour, 1.5 cups or 350 milliliters of evaporated milk, 1.5 cups or 300.
That looks pretty liquid. What makes it evaporated? I'll look that up.
50 milliliters of water, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and a few slices of bread for toast. So the recipe from 1910, which was probably used during World War I, also includes parsley and uses beef stock. It also uses 15 pounds of chipped beef for 60 servings rather than 7 for 100 servings like the World War II version. So it was 4
A lot
ounces
more
per serving, and then by World War II it was just over 1 ounce per serving. I thought that was interesting.
Why?
But to make the World War II version of SOS, chop the chipped beef into small pieces and then peel everything apart and put it into a bowl and soak it with some water. Some old recipes say that the beef is so salty that it needs to be scalded in boiling water. I don't think the modern version is as salty, so if you soak it for 15 or 20 minutes, that's going to be just fine. While it does, mix the evaporated milk and water together and heat it over low heat. Then separately melt the butter over low heat in a pot and add the flour and whisk together. Let it cook for about a minute, then slowly pour in the hot milk mixture. You want to constantly be stirring and let it cook for 3 or 4 minutes while it thickens.
Creamy.
Then whisk in the pepper, then finally add the chipped beef. Then bring the pot to a...
I was going to say, like, no salt, but I guess the salt content in the beef is going to be more than enough, I suppose. That just does not look appetizing to me, though. I don't like it.
Boil and then turn the heat down so it just simmers for about 10 minutes, and it'll thicken up even more during that time. Now, one of the things that actually inspired me to do a video for Veterans Day was a conversation that I was having with an old friend that I used to know in New York who now runs a website called veteranlife.com. The site is dedicated to providing veterans and military families with different resources and benefits that they might not otherwise know of. And it actually also has a lot of wonderful things for civilians, because I am about as civilian as you can get, and yet
oh no, that's me.
Time on
That's
this
me.
site because they have a whole area of military history. I
Oh,
read a
really?
wonderful story about the Navy's ice cream barges
cream
from World War II. They were basically giant floating refrigerators in the Pacific
Really?
that provided ice cream to the sailors.
Oh,
And
that
I
sounds
think
great.
that is going to have to be the topic for a video in the future. But for now, let's talk about the men who would have been making
I mean, nothing boosts morale more than ice cream. Hopefully they had more than just vanilla and chocolate. But even if it was just that, that would still boost morale.
that ice cream, or more specifically, on a shingle.
Shit on a shingle.
So whenever discussing a topic as large as American military cooking during World War II,
Wonder
there
who
are
came
so
up with
many
it.
variables and situations that there are going to be exceptions to everything and exceptions to the exceptions. There was fighting going on all over the world, and there were different levels of preparedness at any given time, so even the military's best laid plans often went awry. But in general, this is what things should have been like if you were cooking in a field kitchen. Typically, each company of about 150 to 200 men would have their own field kitchen with maybe a half a dozen cooks.
That's a big
With
ass
some
spot.
help, they could set up the entire kitchen in under 30 minutes. The goal was to have the kitchen close to the men that they were feeding, but depending on a lot of things, terrain, the proximity to the enemy, sometimes they could be 100 yards back or 10 miles back. The nice
Damn.
thing about being further back is then they could often team up with 3 or 4 other kitchens to become a battalion-sized kitchen. Also being further back meant that they would be less likely to be the target of enemy fire, so
Yeah.
that they could maybe do some cooking during the day, because if they were
not
too
getting
close,
mortared.
then all the cooking had to be done before sunup and after sundown. Now the kitchen could be anywhere from a nearby building to a tent to the back of a truck, but they all
Apparently,
had the
holy
same
shit.
equipment. Most important was the gasoline-powered M1937 range stove.
Oh,
It was
gasoline
very
power.
versatile and could perform all of the functions of any
Is that a fucking deer? They shoot a deer and just cook it in that sucker? What the fuck? I was gonna say either that or it could be chicken, but is that? I don't think that's chicken. That's a big ass chicken. It looks like a deer. It looks like something animal that's four-legged, or it's just two of some kind of baby poultry put next to each other. I'm not sure. The quality of the photo doesn't let me see the feet too well, but it looks like bird feet. Maybe it's some kind of bird. I don't know. Maybe it is chicken.
stovetop and oven in a normal kitchen. They were, of course, rather compact, but usually a company had 2 or 3 that they could work with. And one training video from World War II said,
If you lose your oven, take a couple of barrels, cover them with clay, and bake your bread.
Now, some of the other equipment included large
that a trash
immersion
can?
heaters that could heat up a barrel or even a huge tub of water rather quickly that could be used then for cleaning dishes or for making food and for
Those are trash cans.
taking a hot bath, preferably using new water. And speaking of water,
Preferably.
when it came to drinking water, it needed to be purified and then was kept in a Lister bag. This was meant to distribute purified water for up to 100 men. Then there were Mermite cans. These
the
were
fuck?
insulated containers, usually 7 gallons, and meant to hold 3 or 4 inserts. Like a giant thermos, they
Inserts?
kept things hot or cold and were often used when the kitchen was far from the front line. Food could be prepared at the kitchen and then put
brought
into
in
the
those?
containers, into the Mermite
Okay.
can, put on a truck, and brought to
they
the
still
front
be
line
hot.
to serve the men. But if you were doing this, you really wanted to pay attention to which Mermite can you took, because some were labeled with ETO blood bank, with blood meant for transfusions given near the front lines. Mixing those up would be a mistake you would not make twice.
Yeah.
But assuming that you got the right can,
Would want to.
what kind of meals are you loading them with? Well, officially,
Soups?
you have very little say in it. Especially starting around World War II, there was a big push to make sure that the troops were getting enough of the right minerals and vitamins. And
like
so
some Campbell's.
dishes and entire menus were created by nutritionists back in Washington.
Oh,
and in
boy.
one video from 1943 about the nutrition program, they talk about how they started out by examining the diets of the enemy armies. The Japanese
Okay.
were supposed to have extreme energy given to them by a simple handful of rice, and
The Nazis are supposed to have a Superman vitamin pill.
though the attempt at replicating
Doubtful.
the effects of this pill with mere vitamins did not really work, because actually this superhuman pill was something called Pervitin, which had methamphetamine.
Oh, there you go.
that would
It's just
give the Germans
it's just meth. Okay, there you go. Answers. It's all just meth. Just hard drugs.
a lot of energy if
Yeah.
short-lived. Some say that the Blitzkrieg couldn't have happened without Pervitin because some soldiers had to stay up for days at a time. But while vitamin B might have not replicated the effects of Pervitin, the military did put together a top-notch diet plan for the cooks out in the field to follow.
Is it gonna
Menus for
taste
dinner
good?
could include
It's probably
chicken
not
a la
gonna
king
taste
with
good.
lyonnaise carrots and an apricot upside-down cake for dessert.
Really?
And all of the ingredients would be dried or salted or otherwise preserved and shipped all the way from the U.S. to the front lines all over the world. But of course, most of these ingredients never actually made it to where they were going, or at least not in a timely fashion, so you didn't have everything at once, so the field cooks usually had to cobble something together with what they had available. But depending on their location, that could be something pretty nice depending on where you were. When the 10th Mountain Division was in Italy in 1945, Corporal John Stone said,
some
"We
pizza."
used lots of fresh Italian ingredients, as much as we could, no matter what we were cooking. We also learned to cook a lot of pizza.
Oh, hell
This
yeah.
woman and her daughter, they taught us how to do it right. You made do with what you had, and many times that actually meant field rations. Basically, if you were near the front, at least
That
one
literally
meal a
looks like
day
dog
was
food.
going to be prepackaged field rations. And for some troops, it could be every meal, every day, for days or even weeks on end.
That sounds
now, I want to do
terrible.
a whole video on the field rations of World War II and how they evolved into the modern
MREs.
MRE, or meal ready to eat. And
I hear some of these are really, really good, but others are really, really bad, and there's like no in between in these. It's just either really good or just absolute shit. I want to try some, but I have no idea where you would even get them, though.
actually, I should try to do that with Steve MRE, who who actually eats these old foods. I'll put a link to where you can watch him eat actual rations from World War II. But since it was part of a cook's job
Would
to
those
make
still
sure
be good? Those still be okay? Or does he get the runs every time?
that everyone had the field rations that they would need, we should touch on it now. So there were lots of types of field rations that you could get depending on where you were and at what point during the war you were at. But between 1942 and 1945, the two most common were the C ration and the K ration. The C ration was 3 meals, each made up of an M unit or meat unit and a B unit, which was the bread or dessert.
Okay.
The M unit was the main dish. You could have beef stew with peas or a canned meat and vegetable stew.
Huh.
At the beginning of the war,
Doesn't
there was
sound
pretty
that
much
bad.
only different stews. But later on, you might have meat and spaghetti and tomato sauce, eggs and potatoes.
So man eating this with a knife? Oh, just don't joke on yourself.
Or pork and beans. Then the B unit had some hardtack, though it was supposedly softer and easier on the teeth than that of previous wars, the biscuits being made of soybeans, wheat, egg, and lard.
Pretty tasty biscuit.
Then there'd be some
Is
coffee
it?
powder or
Doesn't sound
sometimes
that great.
lemon drink. Then there'd be some sugar, salt, maybe chocolate, and often
Ooh, vanilla
cigarettes
caramels.
and gum. All told, the 3 meals provided 3,700 to 3,800 calories per day and could be eaten cold, but were better when they were cooked.
Yeah,
Now, the
I would
C ration
assume.
was a good amount of food and was quite varied, but it was heavy. And so if you were remote or a paratrooper, you would get the K ration. They weighed less, partly because they had less calories. They had
Corned
2,830
beef.
calories per day and were supposed to be much less edible. Things like the fatty pork loaf and the maltose and dextrose tablets would often just get thrown out by the troops. The thing is, the K ration was meant to be used for no more than 5 days, but there are stories of soldiers living almost exclusively off of them for weeks at a time. One unit
that
known
sucks.
as
Oh
Merrill's
my God.
Marauders lived almost exclusively on K rations for 5 months in
That's
Burma.
why they're fucking
And after
skin and
5
bone.
months of fatty pork loaf every day, imagine how happy they would have been to walk into a field kitchen and be offered something like a plate of hot on a shingle. So once everything is simmered for about 10 minutes, toast your
That
bread
fucking
and then
name.
ladle the creamed beef onto the
Oh.
toast and serve. And here we are, World War II creamed dried beef. I'm gonna kind of spread it around here on
I would-
the shingle,
yeah.
because I feel like
Spread that shit on
we
that
gotta go
shingle.
together. All right.
I will
here we
not
go.
be so ecstatic to get that though. I feel like it would be like super salty too.
Oh, not bad.
No? No.
All right.
He's like, wait, no. After a few more chews.
It needs the shingle. The toast is really necessary for the texture, because once the toast kind of had softened, the texture of the actual beef, it's not terribly pleasant.
No?
It's just kind of chewy. That said, the flavor of the whole thing, not that bad. In fact, it actually reminds me of the gravy that my grandpa used to make, though he would put it over biscuits, and it was made with bacon fat. So if you want to make this with bacon fat, it is quite good. That said, the flavor is good. It could use more spice, probably, some more
Probably.
pepper. I mean, it's a pretty small amount of pepper for that quantity that they used. So you could add more pepper. You're not being rationed, hopefully. What I would think is actually really good is just a different meat, like ground up sausage or cut up bacon or something like that. Something
Ooh,
that just
bacon,
the
yeah.
texture
No, bacon
is a
would
little
sound good.
more pleasing to the palate. That said, when you compare it to a lot of military foods, it's not that bad, especially the older military foods out in the field. This one, I could see looking forward to it. Anyway, if
I'm
you
assuming
are a
they didn't really
veteran
like it,
or
though.
in the military or a part of a military family or just interested in military history and lifestyle, make sure to visit veteranlife.com. And for those of you lucky enough to have a grandparent still around, even if they weren't in World War II, go ask them to tell you a story, because I'm sure that they would love to, and you'll appreciate it when you're older. So don't forget to like, subscribe, have a fantastic Veterans Day or Armistice Day or Remembrance Day, and I will see you next time on Tasting History.
Yeah, I can only assume the soldiers didn't really like that food either. That's why it's called shit on a shingle. Why else would they call it shit? Interesting though. I thought it'd be far more I thought it might be far more saltier than than it was, apparently. Well, when you said try it with bacon, I kind of want to now. Crispy bacon. Don't give me none of that soggy soft bullshit. No, crispy bacon. I'm still on the edge of that cream sauce. What is evaporated milk? I'm gonna have to look that up too. Oh yeah, no. So, if you guys like this and you want to see more, I do have a link in the description too, Tasting History's channel, so you can check out all the stuff he's got, like this cowboy pork and beans here. I wasn't really too interested in that, but if you want to, you can check that out. You can also check out the what peasants ate in the 18th century or something like that he's got, because I was not interested in that after seeing that thumbnail. It just looked disgusting. Or if you want to see something that I am interested in, go check out the sugar plums one, because I think I'm going to check that one out next, because that one looked interesting. So yeah, go to the description, go to his channel, check it out. If you like what you see over there, go ahead and give him a sub. Or, and then if you can afford it, shit, head to his Patreon as well. And if you like watching shit with me, give me a sub too. I wouldn't say no. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Until next time, goodbye.